Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dirty Jake, and with me is DJ Dub, and we're going in with our first Impromptu Podcast.
Impromptu.
What did I say?
No, that's right. I was just...
I was
echoing you. Sorry.
As you can see.
Yes.
What does that mean, though? It means we have not taken down any notes, done prior research, and we're just kind of rolling with it. This will probably be a short podcast.
Yeah.
I say that now, it'll probably gonna be end up being very long, but we'll see how it goes. There's some fun stuff to talk about, and there's a little schedule change. We were going to do this Thursday and get more time to research, but, that's just not what happened. You guys are going to have to deal with it.
Yeah. Tuesday edition.
I'd like to congratulate all those who watched or listened to our podcast last week. We had a season high of over 28 views.
It was great. We enjoy all of your support.
I'm so glad that it, cost us money to get those viewerships up, but hey, you know what? Whatever works.
Right.
We're supposed to be making money off of this, but I'm sinking money into it.
Right.
So.
Right.
But the right person's going to listen to it, and then we're going to get jobs and end up in Hollywood. So.
Yeah, totally. Hollywood's not a good place to be right now. Anyway, let's begin with not the top 5 this week because we didn't have time to really delve into it. So we're gonna.
So top 5. Let's just fire off real quick the big upsets last week, or the crazy games.
All right, Miami lost.
Hey. Upset of the week. Yeah, I'm a genius.
Miami lost to Pitt. Jake got that right, obviously. Wasn't even close. We'll talk about it in a minute, but Miami fell to number 7 in the rankings. And then the other upset pick of the week, Auburn over Alabama. And now joining us. Now joining us is senior analyst Frank.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, guys.
Very impromptu today.
Yes, he just arrived in the studio.
And we're adding him in.
Frank, what do you have to say?
Did we talk about the new rankings?
We're about a minute and a half in.
All right.
Yeah, we literally just started.
Perfect.
We're going to cover coaching. We're going to cover the new rankings. We're just
firing off the crazy games last week.
Yeah, Miami lost by 17 to Pitt. That's a bad loss. Alabama lost by 12 to Auburn. Ha 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 ha.
Finally.
What are you saying? Alabama lost?
Alabama lost.
We want Bama.
But don't worry, they're number 5, poised to get right back in because they're Bama.
Stupid.
Right. So I'm glad I was right about that. And for the record, I don't hate Alabama. I just hate how good they are. So I want them to lose and not be in the playoff.
Can't wait
Other crazy games. Stanford beat Notre Dame by about 18 points, I think.
Nice.
Which was pretty crazy. Can we talk for a second about UCF's game real quick?
Sure. After breaking NFL news, Michael Crabtree and Aqib Talib's suspensions have been reduced from 2 games to 1. Not that matters for most of you, but it matters to me. Thank you.
I traded Danny earlier this season, Michael Crabtree, for Blake Bortles.
And as most of you know, next week is the final week of most regular fantasy seasons, and the playoffs begin in 2 weeks. So him only being suspended 1 game means I get Crabtree back for the playoffs. Beautiful.
So, let's talk about that UCF game.
Okay.
I know we don't have a top 5 and anything like that, but that was a pretty crazy finish, and I just want to touch on that real quick.
UCF 11-0, baby. Moved up to number 14 in the rankings.
And they won in a pretty crazy fashion.
15?
Yeah.
With, I think it was like 2 minutes left to go in the game. UCF takes the lead.
Right.
Then USF scores on their first or second play of that drive with a really long pass.
It was a second, yes.
And they tied it back up, I think, at the
They went for 2.
They went for 2.
It went for 2 to tie it up.
Yep.
Which was pretty insane. Then there's about,
UCF returns the kickoff.
I was going to say there's about 50-something seconds left, and then we kick off to UCF, and they return the kickoff.
Yep. I'm at the game.
Oh, yeah.
Live. I'm at the game, live, sitting there, watching the kick, thinking to myself,
there goes my life.
This is the first returnable kick.
Why did they not kick it out of the end zone?
It? Why are we giving him a chance?
Yeah.
And then I see one move, and the Red Sea party.
There it goes.
And there he goes.
Moses ended up on the field.
Fun game. Great game for the non-Power 5 conferences. Very entertaining game.
And then they try to drive down the field. The old swim tackle. Caught the ball. Ball game. I mean, I felt for Quentin Flowers finally having that Heisman game that all USF fans have been waiting for. I mean,
lost.
If you would have told me going into that game that
Quentin Flowers would throw
for 500 yards, I would have told you were insane.
Yeah.
if you would have told me that he would have thrown for 500 yards and lost,
Yeah.
I would have told you were more insane.
Also weird.
Yeah, so crazy weekend. 1 and 2 went down, and then the big UCF game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're at 11-0. They're going to play a ranked opponent this week in Memphis in the AAC Championship.
Memphis also only one
Rematch.
loss.
Memphis also only 1 loss to UCF by about 24, I believe.
Yep. And
But I think Memphis is going to pull the upset. I think they're going to be in this week.
Think so?
First.
Dang. Coming from the guy who
I
went to
mean-
UCF.
It's going to be a theme for me probably tonight, but it's hard to beat teams twice in the same
Yeah, and
season.
that's what Travis keeps saying over and over. It's hard to beat teams twice. You got UCF Memphis rematch. You got Georgia Auburn rematch.
Oklahoma,
you got
TCU.
Oklahoma TCU rematch.
Fresno State, Boise State, who just played last week.
Yeah, I mean,
Wait, what conference are they in? Independent?
I mean, it's hard to beat teams twice. You don't. I mean, especially for me, like I was gonna.
Stanford, USC.
Yep. I mean, because thinking as a Georgia fan against Auburn, like watching that game, I don't know if they played that game to win with the game plays that they did, knowing that they were going to play Auburn or Alabama in the championship. So it'll be interesting to see what stops Chaney pulls.
Well, this would be a good test for Kirby Smart to see how he handles a rematch against a good.
Yeah, there's a lot of win in your in games this weekend, and we'll get to those in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've already talked about the matchups. So let's go ahead and hop into the new top 5 from the College Football Playoff Committee.
Okay, at number 1 we have Clemson. Clemson. That's kind of to be expected, I think. They just naturally fit there. They were the top 2 teams.
Well, and naturally Oklahoma is number 2, right?
But there is where it gets crazy. Auburn has jumped to 2 because they've beaten 2 number 1 teams in the last 3 weeks. So
yeah, I understand that.
I understand being in the top 4, but
I disagree right now. At this point, this week, I disagree right now.
Yeah. I personally, I saw them at 3 potentially, but I would have liked to see them at 4.
Yeah.
It gives Georgia a better reason to get in the top 4 if they win.
Well, yeah, Georgia wins. They're in.
The winner of that game is in.
They're also saying the winner of Clemson Miami is in. Obviously, Clemson would be number 1. Miami's fell all the way to 7, but they're saying that if they win that game, they will probably get 3 or 4 spots.
I would have been interested to see if Miami didn't fall on their face last week on whether or not if Clemson did win that championship, if they still would have found a way to sneak in at 4.
Right.
Obviously, that's out the window, but yeah.
So we have Clemson at number 1, we got Auburn at number 2, we have Oklahoma at 3,
and we have
Bama's at 4, right?
and we have 2 undefeated and we have 2 undefeated teams that are not in the top 3.
Yep.
One is UCF at 14. Obviously, they're not going to get any love.
They moved up 1 spot after that game.
1 spot.
Good for them.
But this is the first week Wisconsin's in the top 4.
First week, I believe, Wisconsin's in the top 4. They are
they're
number 4.
Playing the same strength of schedule that UCF played this season. They finally made it to the top 4.
False.
Might actually be a little less.
But, it's interesting because I think Oklahoma's playing really good football right now. They're on a hot streak. I know Auburn's hot and beating the 2 number 1 teams is impressive, but they also have 2 losses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Oklahoma's got, 1 loss?
Yeah.
And they're playing really good football right now. So for them to be ahead of Oklahoma is a little sketchy to me, but...
I mean, and even taking out Baker Mayfield, I mean, they were +7 without Baker Mayfield there. So,
For the first drive.
For
the first play.
I mean, I think
Murray,
all
66
Oklahoma
yards.
fans were scared there, missing Mr. Mayfield for a whole drive. I mean, that was slap on the wrist right there. Don't do that again.
Yeah. So it's an interesting top 4. Just to recap: Clemson, Auburn, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Bama at 5, Georgia at 6. Mm-hmm. Bama at 5 makes me mad, but we don't have time to get into all that tonight. Yep. They're gonna get in if Wisconsin loses.
Well, yep. All Alabama haters or
actually, that's false. If Wisconsin loses, Auburn would have to beat Georgia for Alabama to get in. If Georgia beats Auburn, I think Auburn, since they just beat Alabama, would get in over
that would
Bama.
Be interesting,
with
though.
three
with
losses?
3 losses, though.
With 3 losses.
That would be interesting. I don't know. I was thinking the same thing, too.
Right now, they're number 2, and Bama's 5.
I know, but I think that 3rd loss is...
Yeah, they're not going to put a 3-loss team in there. They're going to put a 2-loss team in there.
If they were going straight off of eye test, then yes. Mm-hmm. I mean, but then again, you can say the same thing about Alabama not playing this week. I mean, it's going to bring them right back up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if Miami beats Clemson, And
It gets even screwier.
And Auburn loses. Then Clemson's definitely ahead of Auburn, who should be ahead of Alabama.
Let's just say the top 4 cleans out this week, and all 4 teams lose.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? We're going to have Ohio State.
If all
we're
4
going to have
teams lose,
Bama.
if all 4 teams
Miami.
lose, you ready? All 4 teams lose. Alabama,
Georgia.
for sure.
Georgia
would probably be number 1. Miami
Clemson would be.
Miami would probably be number 3.
And Ohio State would be 4.
And number 4 would probably be
Ohio State after they win this.
They'd
this
be
year,
Wisconsin number 4.
yeah, 'cause they would win that championship. Yeah, they would be in, and TCU would be like number 5,
Ouch.
and USC would be like number 6.
Yeah.
Or Stanford if they win.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, because they're not in the top.
Stanford
4,
would be like 8.
Are they going to lose 2 games in a row this season to USC? Is that what you're saying, Danny?
I'm saying if I had to put money on it, I'd put on USC because Bryce Love is all that Stanford.
Well, how many
has.
bets have you won this season?
Not a ton, but I did win my single bet last week. Just saying.
But yeah, for your Alabama haters, they're not wanting to see Alabama in the playoff. Big Wisconsin fans.
Yeah,
this week.
I am rooting for the top 4 except for maybe Auburn. I'd rather see Georgia, but
It'd be nice to have an SEC East team in there for a change.
It'd be. I mean, I hadn't seen reports on the running backs for Auburn, but it'd be very hard to beat.
Yeah.
Georgia just through the air.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Finding a
well, their
fourth
defensive
running back.
line's on fire right now.
Yes,
so.
yes. So that would be a little different, but.
All right,
So speaking of the SEC,
we
they've
got
had a pretty crazy coaching carousel already this season.
we got that to cover, and then we're going to cover the championships just so we're all on the same page. Coaching
Okay.
carousel here, championships, and then I think we might be done.
Yes.
So carousel, go for
Yeah.
it.
So in the SEC alone, Sumlin's fired. Coach Mack, we already know, got fired.
Mhm.
Butch Jones, we already know, got fired. And as of, yesterday, Dan Mullen is the new head coach at the University of Florida, which I am very excited about. I am happy to see that a well-established head coach will be joining there instead of a up-in-the-air kind of coach. Maybe they're good, maybe they're not. They were good at a smaller school. Frost was my number 1 pick, but Dan Mullen was a close second, and I'm happy to see that.
Who did you go over there? You went over Tennessee, Florida,
and
A&M.
A&M.
And Arkansas's coach also got fired as soon as he walked off the field last weekend.
And
That's right.
Nebraska as well.
Nebraska's coach is gone.
Yep.
UCLA's coach obviously is gone.
Yeah,
Chip
and
Kelly
Moore.
is there.
Yeah.
I was trying to cover just the SEC
Yeah.
first.
Right, okay, let's
but,
go
Yeah,
SEC
yeah,
first.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Dan Mullen's there. How do you feel?
I'm really happy about it. He was
Fantastic.
the offensive coordinator at Florida when they won their 2 national championships. So he has a well-established offense. He was able to do with less talent at Mississippi State. Made them a pretty good team, 8 straight bowl years. They were number 1 at one point a couple years ago for a few weeks. I'm excited.
2 nuggets about Florida. 3 nuggets about Florida, actually. 1, I didn't read much into it, but I heard Scott Frost declined to talk to Florida when they had a coaching vacancy when they called him. So I don't know why he declined to speak to them about their head
I
coaching
don't know
job.
if it was just on Florida itself
Or that UCF had a game
The whole
going
head
on.
coaching
Right.
at a different spot at all. Because, I mean,
Right, because he's got to focus on his team right
yes.
now.
Yes.
Obviously, Florida's trying to get their new coach in as soon as possible, which they have.
Hey,
It's
also,
interesting.
Florida's
Interesting
a-
that Mullen accepted that job. Mississippi State still got like bowl games to play and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but you've seen that a lot
Right.
of coaches just forego the bowl game. I mean, because it's hard to recruit. You have to go in recruiting, especially with Florida, because like I was saying, with what Florida needed, like they didn't need Chip Kelly. They didn't need that. Like what they needed a guy that was going to go in and figure out how to get them a quarterback.
Yeah.
They haven't had a quarterback since Tebow. And that was the big thing that I saw that Florida needed, and getting Dan Mullen is a huge win for Florida.
He's developed some pretty big quarterbacks. Alex Smith, Tebow. He developed Dak Prescott.
and Fitzgerald this year. Is
Yeah,
that his
Nick
name?
Fitzgerald. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Chris Leak, if you want to talk about Arena Football League quarterbacks now.
He was
Alex
good at
Smith.
Florida.
Alex Smith, I kind of give a little more credit to Urban Meyer for, but I get where you're going with that. 2 more things about Florida. 1, McElwain. They revealed his buyout is $7.5 million that they're paying him to walk away. I'll take that any day.
Yeah,
That's a great severance package.
He
$7.5
can go
million.
find a lot of sharks.
He could have got over $12 million, but they agreed on $7.5.
darn.
Yeah. Oh darn. That sucks for old Jim McElwain. He'll go find a new job elsewhere, I'm sure, probably as a coordinator. Last thing about Florida, Mullen came in. I don't know.
Making changes.
I don't know if he makes any changes or the athletic director's been making changes, but the Gators fired Randy Shannon. They fired Nussmeier. And four other assistants, I believe.
Shannon when he was with Miami, I don't know how he got a job.
I didn't like Randy Shannon.
So anyways, now let's talk about the woe bro in the coaching carousel. Tennessee Volunteers.
Okay. Great. Butch Jones is gone, as we talked about a while ago.
The woe bro is
Schiano got hired.
Greg Schiano.
They were going to hire Greg Schiano, yes. Then everybody decided to freak out because people assumed that he knew about the Sandusky scandal.
Let's go into the Sandusky scandal.
No, we're not going into the Sandusky scandal. All I'll say is read Dan Wenzel's article. He wrote a big article. He covered the Sandusky scandal for a long time. And to make assumptions that Greg Schiano, knew about it and was involved in all that is kind of a little premature. And it's kind of... I mean, I know you don't want anybody that was associated with the scandal, which I get where Tennessee's coming from and why the people protested, but let's not ruin a guy's reputation because you think something happened when you don't know what happened.
Yeah, I mean, that never came up when he got the Bucs job or his other job. Where's he?
He's at
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah,
nothing ever came up then, so why would it come up now?
Right.
It's just...
So, fun fact about Tennessee, they talked to Mike Gundy today, the Oklahoma State coach with the mullet. The I'm a man, I'm Ford. Ford, that coach. They talked to him today. Florida also talked to Mike Gundy before they hired Dan Mullen. So, looks like he may be interested in an SEC job. I personally think he'd be better fit at Arkansas over Tennessee, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So, that's what's going on there. Arkansas still looking for a coach. Mike Sumlin was fired. And
Kevin Sumlin,
excuse me. And it sounds like they're trying to snatch
Jimbo Fisher.
They were talking
about 6-7-year deal for like $36 or $42 million. That's an insane amount of money.
Well, they're getting him at a discount right now after a poor season at FSU.
It's not a discount.
For a premium.
Yeah, I mean, if he takes it, good for him.
Seems like more of a lateral, if not less than a lateral move at this point.
Well, the rumor is that, and I don't think it's much a rumor, I think it's more fact, Jimbo has issues with some people at Florida State, like the administration, higher-ups, that kind of thing. He doesn't get along with them.
The bigwigs.
Yeah, he's not on good terms with the bigwigs at Florida State. So this job's opening up. I don't know where Jimbo's from. I don't know if he's from Texas or if he has an affiliation with A&M, but it seems like he might be interested in it. He won't talk about it till the season's over, I'm sure, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him go after the bowl game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems just like a lateral move type of thing to me.
And
that would just kind of
boil down to bowl game. Yeah,
they are not.
They play the Warhawks. They have to beat the Warhawks first.
They do. So I don't know. If he goes, I hope Florida State gets Scott Frost. We'll see. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of a weird season next year at Florida State if they don't hire Scott Frost, because I don't know who they're going to get, and I don't know that it's going to work out well year one.
Yeah, especially they're going to be the last vacancy to fill. I mean, who's going to be left?
Just so everybody knows, Kerryon Johnson for Auburn, he did get injured in the Alabama game. He is considered day-to-day. I guarantee you he'll play against Georgia, but it's something to look out for.
Yeah, it's tough with two bad shoulders.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
one hit could make him out.
The only other real news I have in the coaching carousel, or the only other information I have, is Herm Edwards of ESPN and formerly of NFL Coaching has interviewed for the Arizona State opening.
Ooh. Interesting.
In the Pac-12, Arizona State and UCLA obviously got rid of their coaches, and one picked up Chip Kelly.
Yeah, that's good for UCLA.
Yeah,
I'm happy. Chip Kelly is just a West Coast guy.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what he does there. I don't know that he's going to have success like he did at Oregon, but he could definitely bring that program back from 5-7, 6-6 every year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he tries to change that whole offense right away.
Yeah, that would be fun. It would have been cool to see him with Josh Rosen, but unfortunately he won't get that opportunity.
Yeah.
Kevin Sumlin rumored to be also in the running for that Arizona State job, which would be fun. He needs to get out of the spotlight because the SEC is just a little too high pressure for him. I don't think he was great. I'm blanking on where he was before A&M. I think he was at Houston before Tom Herman, but I could be wrong. I'll check that. But I'll get back to you on that one.
Man, I was just thinking, maybe if Florida State loses Jimbo, maybe they pick up Lane Kiffin, huh?
I would be down. I would be 100% down, but I don't think Lane's ready for that yet.
Lane might stay another year at FAU.
I think that would be the best decision for Lane Kiffin because I think he could have another year like he's having this year.
You heard it here first.
Anyway, moving on to the championship games of the week.
Let's talk about the Power 5 championship games this week.
Oh, yeah.
And
Only talk about the Power 5.
Power 6.
Power 5 plus AAC, just like we did in the preview.
Kevin Sumlin was the coach at the University of Houston when Casey Keenum was there back in those days.
Congratulations.
Okay.
All right, so what, Frank, pick a
here.
conference.
12. Let's start at the game times. We got 12 o'clock. We have Memphis UCF.
The AAC, we're starting with the Power 6.
It's at UCF.
Yes, it is.
So UCF
Bounce
Memphis
House.
rematch. Who do you got, Frank?
It's hard for me to pick against UCF after watching them all year. I haven't been able to see Memphis as much, but their offense can be just as good. But right now, I'm probably leaning UCF.
Yeah, UCF I think is going to be favored by 10, especially since it's at home. Like I said, they beat Memphis by double digits earlier this year. I still have Memphis pulling the upset. This is Memphis' only loss. Their offense is really good. And in another shootout, I know UCF's offense is the number one in the nation, but it's tough to do that shootout every single week. So it really kind of depends on what UCF defense shows up, honestly.
You know, they haven't even had a close game this season besides USF. And this is a lot riding, not only for that team, but for that conference, you know. To see a ranked, undefeated AAC team come out on top, I think that'd be really good for the AAC. And I think Coach Frost is the kind of guy that will choke.
I do want to see them finish undefeated. I want to see them go 12-0, and I want to see them win their bowl game. I know they probably won't win their bowl game because it's going to be against like an Ohio State or Penn State, but
I have
UCF winning.
Yeah, I don't see the opening line. Money line is minus 300.
yeah, that's why I'm saying it's double digits, probably 10.
And the exciting part is they are setting the over/under at 82.5.
82.5. So if you want one game to watch this weekend,
Danny's money.
even though it does not have anything to do with the college football playoff per se, I think you should watch that game. That's going to be the most exciting game of the
82.5.
weekend.
That's fun.
So
That's a lot of scoring.
um,
That's higher than the UCF USF.
I'm just going to cover some of these ones outside the Power 5 before we jump into the Power 5. Toledo and Akron, Saturday at noon as well. Toledo 10-2. Let's go Rockets.
Yep.
Romp.
Yep.
CUSA Conference Championship. North Texas against FAU.
North Texas.
Whoa, FAU 10.5-point favorites.
I'm
FAU in
sorry.
a romp.
I got family at North Texas.
Ah, that is true.
Yep.
FAU in a romp.
The Mean
The
Green.
Mean Green.
The Mean Green. Okay, what other non... I think we got the Mountain West.
Boise.
Mountain West. Fresno State at Boise State. Or,
Boise
well,
State.
I guess it was supposed to be at Boise State, but I believe the Mountain West rule is higher ranked team gets to host. So Fresno State, ranked 25th in this week's college football rankings,
Wow.
would be the host for that game.
Boise's
Boise
favored
State
by 8.5.
I'd rather see the game on the blue turf,
I
honestly.
would.
So I'm going to take Boise as well. All right, and that's it for the non-Power 5 conference championships.
All right.
So on to the Power 5.
All right.
Friday.
And then 12:30.
No, Friday. There's a Friday game.
There's a Friday game?
Yep.
Friday game. Friday 12-1. USC Stanford.
USC Stanford. Is
Stanford. They've ended on a very high note.
Yep.
USC only 3.5-point favorites.
Yep. And Sam Darnold, not as good as Danny thinks he is.
False.
I think they've started to figure out a formula with their quarterback.
No.
Starting to.
Maybe.
Yeah,
If they keep giving,
give
as
the
long
ball
as
to Bryce Love.
yeah,
a good
Stanford
quarterback.
Stanford and Wisconsin are essentially the same team. They got a good defense, they have no quarterback, and they have a good running back.
they were making some pretty decent throws against Notre Dame. I'll give you that. I'll say.
Notre Dame has looked like trash since Miami beat the heck out of them a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully USC looks like trash too. So I still have Stanford winning. Bryce
Right.
Love needs to get the ball more than 20 times.
He will not, and that is my prediction.
Who won the regular season matchup?
USC.
By how
USC?
much? Like 24?
Was it 24? I
I'll-
know it was
I'll-
double digits.
I'll double
but
check.
I thought it was like 17 or something.
I'll double check.
It's gonna be hard to beat them twice, but I think I still have USC as well.
I have USC as well. Yeah, Bryce Love's getting the ball 14 times this game, and he's not going to score. So there you go.
All right. Next game, Oklahoma TCU.
The USC Stanford game was 42-24 earlier this year, so 18-point victory.
Yeah, that's always close.
Oklahoma, number 3 Oklahoma versus TCU in another rematch.
Okay, so TCU is mostly known for their defense, and the game that they won last week, they gave up like over 20 points to who was it?
TCU, they play...
Not West Virginia.
No, Baylor.
Baylor.
That's what I thought.
They gave up over 20 points to. By the way, Baylor, watch. Did they win?
No. They lost 45-22 to TCU. 11 losses.
So they gave up over 20 points
Is that
to
good enough
Baylor.
for a bowl game?
That is good enough for my bowl game.
I have Oklahoma. Their defense has been cracking at the end of the season.
I've got Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's favored by 7. I think, they after Kyler
No, I
Murray.
think Baker Mayfield's favored by like 14.
Ah, okay.
The defense kind of
Right,
is
right.
like
Yeah,
plus
it
Pulling
narrows it
down,
down.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray had a 1 rush for 66 yards last week in Baker Mayfield's absence. I think they use him a little bit this week, and they romp TCU.
Yeah, that's interesting. That'd be an interesting dynamic to add to the team.
Yeah.
If they put both on the field at the same time, because you can't take Baker Mayfield off the field
Right now.
unless you're suspending him for a drive.
He can play tight end.
So yeah. I have Oklahoma as well.
Yep.
And then let's see here. We got a 4:00 game.
Yep,
Is that
4
the next
o'clock.
one? 4:00. Georgia Auburn.
Auburn favored by 2.5.
Ooh.
I have Auburn.
You got Auburn? Big close game or no?
Yeah, close. Yeah, it's going to be closer than the last game.
Well, yeah, last game was
They
like
just dominated Georgia, and I don't
Let's
know
see
if
here.
Georgia has shown that, I don't know. I mean, Georgia's been playing great all season, but since that loss, I haven't seen anything like huge out of Georgia, so I have no reason to believe that it's going to be too different.
It's not going to be November anymore, so I've got Georgia by double digits.
Ooh.
You're high.
I think this game being in the new Georgia Dome will be favorable to the Bulldogs, and I still not sold on Fromm.
No,
Still not sold on Fromm.
I get
But
that.
I think they find a way to give the ball to. I think they find a way to give the ball to their run backs away from the defensive line, make them use their aggressiveness against them, little screens, little end arounds to soften the middle, and I think Georgia does.
Yeah.
Unbiasedly find a way to. Take the title.
Yeah, they. I think they take care of business. I think Auburn's due for a letdown after these last couple of weeks where they've been playing really good football.
Yep.
And they're not going to be able to get to the quarterback every play like they have been the last couple of weeks. So I think this is the time that Georgia gets their revenge.
Yep.
All right, 2 left. Don't have a ton of time left, so we'll
All
speed
right.
through them.
Yep. We have they're both at 8, so we'll go Ohio State, Wisconsin.
Ohio State, Wisconsin. Ohio State favored by 6.5 against the undefeated Badgers.
I have Ohio State winning.
Ohio State winning. Do they get into the playoff?
Yes.
Ooh.
Wait.
Ooh.
Wait.
They're 8 right now. I'm just going to tell you that. They're 8. If they beat number 4, there is an argument to be made over a 1-loss Bama for a 2-loss Ohio State. But because of the conference change.
I think Clemson beats Miami, so Ohio State won't make it.
Ah, okay.
Well,
If Miami wins, then I think Ohio State makes it.
No, I think you got that backwards. But I kind of see what you're saying. If Clemson wins, they solidify their spot. If they lose, you think they're out, but Miami would take their spot.
Mm-hmm.
So then how would Ohio State get in?
the ACC championship gets in. The SEC champion gets in. The
If Oklahoma lost, Ohio State would get in.
Yes.
So no, Ohio State won't get in. 'Cause
Okay.
I think Oklahoma wins.
All right.
Sorry.
So I have Ohio State as well.
I'm
Probably.
gonna go with the Badgers.
All right, undefeated season. I
I'm
like
going
it.
with the Badgers. Yeah.
I just got Ohio State. I don't think Wisconsin's good. Enough. They're a good team. They're not good enough.
I think Barrett trips over the photographer again, and
Yeah. Someone
Might have
just
some issues.
strikes him before the game.
My prediction: Ohio State wins and Bama still gets into the damn playoff because they're frickin' Bama.
yep. All right, Clemson, Miami. Clemson's favored by 9.5.
Clemson favored by 9.5. This could go either way if Miami shows up against how they've been playing against top teams like Notre Dame and
If Miami's playing their tough opponent Miami way, then it's gonna be a good game and Miami could win. I just see Clemson
Either
winning.
way, I think I'm going Miami plus 9.5.
Okay. I'm going to take Clemson minus 9.5 because I don't think the turnover chain is going to get brought out more than one time in this game.
Whoa.
And without the turnover chain, Miami's nothing. They're nothing.
The Dab Swine's gonna win this one.
Malik Rozier is going to get sacked at least 6 times. Clemson in a romp.
Romp.
And that's all we have for you this week.
Didn't you say there was something else you wanted to talk about after the conference?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. Well,
Baker Mayfield for Heisman.
Yeah, he solidified that.
Yeah, he's pretty much winning the Heisman. So we have breaking a record time for our podcast.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You heard it here first, and thanks for joining us on this Impromptu Podcast. I'm Derek Jake, and have a good night.
We've proven we can do it without research.